I have that on. Hello, hello, hi, folks. Welcome, welcome. Happy Thursday. In hopes that you squeezed more out of your day than the day squeezed out of you. I am Sean Azimi with SideGigSean.com, where I help you look, start, and grow your side business. Welcome, welcome. Today's Thursdays with Sean. I am so excited, so honored to have one of my favorite leaders in the profession on. I am so glad you accepted my invite. Lisa, thank you so much. Welcome, welcome to Thursdays with Sean, Lisa Cox.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here with you.
Absolutely. Is it okay if I brag a little bit about you? Just a little tiny bit
Yeah.
for an hour. For an hour.
No, no.
So she's been in the industry, you guys, for I'm not even going to say how many years, for more than a couple of months. We'll just go there. You're a co-author. You've been married for 34 years, two beautiful, successful daughters, and you have made millions in the profession. Didn't start that way, and now you're leading a team of thousands
Mhm.
all around the world.
Yes.
And you're standing up to do this Thursdays with Sean. I am so honored and humbled to have you on, Lisa.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank
So
you. I'm
for,
so happy to be here. This will
yeah,
be
so
fun.
for those of us who don't know much about your background and how it all started, where are you from? Just to
Okay.
tell us a little bit about your background.
You bet. So I was raised out in Southern California. I married a guy from Springfield, Missouri. So I've been here for 34 years in the middle of the country. But I was raised in California as a California girl up on the hill in Laguna Beach, and went to school, went to college for business and communications, and really thought that I wanted to be a corporate woman. I thought I would be that person that, walked in the building every day with her briefcase and, sat on boards with big tables of people and ran companies. And that's what my mom did. And so I thought I would do the same thing. And then my beautiful daughters came along, and I realized, no, I need to be with these little baby dolls, and I want to be home with them and be 100% mom. And I was paying a nanny, and I was working in real estate at the time, and I was paying a nanny to do all the things I wanted to be doing. And I just knew that I needed kind of a different thing. So that's where I sort of fell into network marketing. But I grew up very fortunate, having the ocean and the beach, um, and then now I'm in Missouri, and I actually love it. I actually love it here, Sean. I know it's hard to believe, but I love where
From
I live.
California to there, huh? Okay.
I do. I do. I have this just crazy love for the Midwest now that I've been here for so many years, and the four seasons and everything. And so I've been working in the industry full time for over 27 years, and absolutely believe in it and love what we do, and know that we can help a lot of people. And so that's who I am and what I do.
And I love that. And this show is all about the story because I talk about, a lot of people may have seen the glory, but they don't know the story. So
Yeah.
this show is all about showcasing that story. And I heard a story about you a couple of years ago. I absolutely love, and it kind of you know what it did? It told me that it's okay to switch dreams, and it's totally cool to accept what you're supposed to be doing versus what you thought you were supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You want to
Yeah.
share that story?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about Dolly Parton, I can, so a
I
lot of
love
people,
that story.
well, I spoke this story on stage in front of a lot of people. And so I get more Dolly Parton messages than you could ever imagine. But as a young child in Southern California, I am the middle child. I have two sisters. And I was very painfully shy. I know that's probably going to be hard for people and your audience to believe after tonight's interview, but I was very painfully shy growing up. I felt quite awkward. I'm 6 feet tall, and at a very young age, I was very tall. And back then, very few females were as tall as I was at a young age. And so it was just one of those times in my life. And I just really had this dream. I just loved Dolly Parton's confidence and how she was kind to everyone she met. And she wrote all these incredible songs. And I really just wanted to be her. I
Yeah.
did. I loved, I mean, here we go. I loved her blonde hair. I loved her fake nails, her eyelashes. And there were a lot of things that but I saw deeply in her, just she was a good person, and she made a lot of people really happy. And as a young woman, I just was like, now the singing part, I never have had a good voice. And so I never really truly wanted to be a singer. I just wanted to be a person like Dolly Parton that affected that many people's lives. And I feel like I found a way to do it on a tiny, tiny, tiny scale. I mean, we're not going to be ridiculous here. On the tiniest of scales, I found a way to help other people. And so, that it all kind of fell into place for me. And you never know where you're going to go in your life until you try stuff, and you don't always.
Until 1996.
Yeah.
Would you take us back to that year, that night, that first time that you initially got involved in direct sales, network marketing? What kind of, drew you in? What kind of attracted you?
Well, in 1996, what I was doing was I worked for, and I don't even honestly claim all the different things I sold, because I went full time in the industry. I went full time in the industry with
Right
one.
off the bat?
No, with one company, I went full time in 2000. Before that, I sold for a couple different companies. I was not a professional in the industry. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just selling things I loved, and I was really good at it. And, I was sharing, really at that time, I was sharing things I loved just to pay for my own product. And there were multiple companies that are still here today that I represented back then. And I wasn't even thinking of it as really a business, to be honest. I was just making extra shoe money, making some, doing some fun things. And then when I got serious about wanting to replace what I was doing and be home with the girls, that is when I really became a professional in the industry, and I took it seriously, and I went out there to learn everything I possibly could. But the business that got me into the industry full time was a jewelry business called Silpata Designs. And I had a wonderful, wonderful run and experience with that company. They taught me a lot of incredible things. And, I was there for, I think, like 13 plus years. And
Oh, wow.
I was very good at it, but I still was just kind of like a young girl with my hair on fire. I loved it. I was sharing it. I signed on a lot of people to also share it and sell the jewelry. And we had a great time. And that's when I really realized that there was an opportunity here for everyone. There was an opportunity to help women like me stay home with their babies and make a lot of money. I mean, money that contributed to the household, not just like shoe money. So
That's a good point.
yeah, that's when it got serious.
Oh, I
Is when
like
I
that
was
a
like,
lot.
I'm bringing home, thousands of dollars a month, and and a lot more than that, even when I got further into it. But in the beginning, it was like, my husband's like, this is not shoe money, honey. This is good money. And when we started doing that was when I realized that, boy, I could impact a lot of people. And so the need for us to make the money changed to all of a sudden, oh my gosh, like I can make this incredible impact in women's lives by helping them also start their own home-based business. So jewelry got me in. And then I should I go on, or?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, go for it.
So then I went to, in the same industry in direct sales, then I went to another company and had about a four-year run with a startup company called Nerium, and went over there and I learned a lot more, worked with a lot of top leaders in the industry, and built a massive team there. And again, learned and grew, and really started, at that point I was taking it all very seriously. I was definitely in deep, and I knew that I was good at what I did, but also that I could help a lot of people. And And then 7 years ago, 7 years ago, I found my current company, Modere. And this for me was the ultimate mecca to be. I'm 56 years old, Sean,
What?
and I just had a birthday. So I
Come on.
and for me,
Where's all the filters when I need them?
well, I'll tell you what, it's super important, for me to in this journey to feel like I'm representing the right stuff and to be aligned kind of with the things I liked. That's why I was so good at the jewelry, because I loved it. I was like, this is beautiful jewelry and I had fun with it. You have to have fun. And so for me, finding this company with our clean and natural products and then our liquid collagen, which is gold, that's really
I mean,
why.
I can tell now.
Yeah.
What
Oh,
you
it
telling
works.
me? Yeah.
I drink a lot of it, a lot more than you're supposed to be honest. I
Do
really do.
you?
Yeah,
And
I do.
that's yeah, and I know that is okay. So it sounds like at one point, even though you were in the game, you had like a turning point, right?
Yeah, I
What
did.
was that turning point that like you said, well, you know what, I should probably run with this thing. And Steven's all
Well,
like, this is good money, babe.
I kind of had a moment where I realized I was just really getting. I was very lucky. I was kind of like lucky. I was lucky to an extent. A lot of people have said, "Oh, everything you touch turns to gold," and I'm like, no, that's not true. And I'll tell you more about that later. But I worked really hard. I worked really hard and really consistently and really disciplined for a lot of years. But I did get to the point where I realized I had my hands on the tail of a tiger with this industry, and I liked it and I was good at it. And what's so interesting is, when I first got in, I didn't even know that people had a negative thought about our industry,
Hmm,
which
that
there's
is
plenty of,
interesting.
right? There's
That is interesting.
preconceived stuff that a lot of people have. I didn't know anything about that because I had hardly gone to any shows. I was just a kid. I was a kid. And so for me, growing up with a surgeon as a dad and a corporate woman as a mom, this was not part of my world. And so once I started learning about that, then I was like, oh my gosh, well, now I've got to really be serious because people don't like this industry. And so now I've got to prove myself, and I've got to be
Hmm.
a professional and I've got to show them that I'm the same as any corporate woman that goes into an office building. I just do it myself in my own office. And so I think I had something to prove a little bit. And I knew that I would, and I did, and I have. And and even though really no one should prove anything to anyone or have to, but there's sort of that like there was this competitive within me to just show people the opportunity that there was a lot here, and maybe people were missing the opportunity because they were closed down in their thought process.
You know what I love about speaking to you guys, to you, the top of the game, folks. It's amazing how powerful you make some things that are very simple to see and to notice. You make it so powerful. I love what you said. You said, I didn't even know that people were negative about this. And then when I found out that they are, I actually told myself I got to work harder.
Mhm.
Like you didn't say, oh, they don't like this. Well, I got to go find something else to do that they like. I love that because that is the key, isn't it? I mean, at that point right there, when you had a turning point and you wanted to, get in the game and really get very serious with it, you could have said, well, you know what, they really don't like this thing anyway. I could
Yeah.
just like find something that they do like, you
Yeah,
know.
for
But I
sure.
love that mentality that says, you know what? No, I'm going to work harder because I saw something perhaps, right? That it checks in my book, in my list, right? And I love that. That was just so powerful. I just had to highlight that very much. I really enjoy that a lot. So, um, you've had a few setbacks maybe in the years you've had. I mean, it hasn't been all success and glory, I'm sure. Um, you want to talk about one of those times where like you were just banging your head against the wall and you're like, maybe I should just like leave and quit.
Yeah. I've never wanted to quit the industry as a whole. I definitely had a moment when I knew it was time to change companies. And I'm a very loyal person. And so that was a very hard time in my career, because I'm not just loyal to the company I work for, but I had a lot of people I cared about. And so, and in this industry, you know, people move sometimes. They move for different reasons. And, you know, I would never, I really don't talk, I don't talk bad about other companies. I don't. I have a lot of, some of my great friends are top leaders in other companies, and I respect everyone for their choices. But for me, one of the hardest times was when I felt that my values and my beliefs weren't in alignment with that specific company, and that it was time to make a change. And it was hard. It was a very, very, very hard time. It was a hard time for our marriage, because I was so stressed and over this, and it was just a hard. I felt a little depressed because I just didn't want to have to make a change. And but sometimes, you know, it's important. You have to be aligned with your beliefs and your values. That is, to me, like the number one. You've got to listen to your gut, and I've always listened to my gut on things, and I'm really grateful that I did. And it took me to a place that I have full joy and happiness every day where I am, and I know I did the right thing. But transition is hard, and you know, and I believe if something is really working, you need to stay. You need to stay and work it, even through the good and the bad times, because we're all going to have good and bad times. But if you got the right alignment with your values and your products and everything, then you should stay, and you should figure it out.
I
But
love
at
that.
that point, it wasn't that way for me. So
So
that was
how,
hard. That was a hard
what was
time, but
the
I got through it.
transition though? Like, what got you through that, like, oh, like hurdle, if you would? Was
Well, I
it
have
like,
very strong faith. I always lean on my faith. I have the most incredible husband and support system with my husband. I have had support for every single decision I've made in this industry and everything I've done. I couldn't do it without him. And
oh,
just
that's
knowing
awesome.
I was doing the right thing, and just knowing that, I never looked back. I never looked back. It was not an easy transition, and a lot of people were not happy with
Sure.
us or me for leaving, and that was very hard, because I'm a people pleaser. A lot of us are, and we want to make everybody happy, but there's sometimes there's times you can't. And so I was just I was adamant in my soul that I was doing the right thing. And so that's probably what got me through, is if you just got to go with what you know is right for you and your family. And so that's what got me through probably the best.
And I love the point that you say it again. You basically confirm what you just said before. You said, I never wanted to quit the industry, the profession.
Mm-mm.
You know, even when, like, and in the beginning, you said, you know what, they don't like this profession. Hold up, what happened? I gotta work a little harder then. They didn't hear it right, you know. And
Yeah.
now you're saying, listen, I didn't want to leave the profession. It's like, you know, I come from the mortgage industry, and I was in the mortgage industry for 19 years. I've had 38 jobs in 10 industries. But when a couple of mortgage companies got shut down, it's not like I said, oh, I'm going to go become a mechanic now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, where else can I go? And I love that you point that out, that you know, you didn't want to leave the profession because you saw something in the profession. You just fell in
For
love with the
sure.
profession.
And I still do. But I will say, you know, first of all, everybody has a bad day. And
Sure.
if you say that you don't, you're lying, right? Because everyone has a bad day. And I've had plenty of moments where I'm just like, yeah, you know, but you're never supposed to quit on a bad day. You're just supposed to go to sleep that night and wake up and do it again, and it'll get better. And you know, for me, I've had some bad days. I've had some no shows, you know, on appointments,
No, really?
on my face that were really rude. I've also had wonderful days and wonderful times, and served a lot of people. And so it's like, you just can't quit on that bad day. You know, you have to keep going, especially if your love and passion is where you are. And So I've never actually been to the point where I've really wanted to quit. I've just had to maybe take a moment and pause and get through it and fill up with some good stuff, read some good books, listen to a great podcast and fill up my soul a little bit and then keep going.
I love that, and I love how you pointed out the morals and values need to be all lined up. That's a concept that I talk about actually very often. I call it MVP: morals, values, and principles.
Oh, nice.
So that, I thought I throw that in. It was in
Yeah,
line with what you said. So I was like, that's really
that's,
cool.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
actually, right here. She wrote it down. Jenny wrote it down. So I love how you pivoted and you got through and you're here. I mean, I love that you're here. So what would you say that, to be at this point, and as I'm climbing the ladder slowly but surely, I can see it's not always that easy to maintain,
Yeah.
so I can imagine when you're up there it's a little tougher to maintain that. So what have you used, or what have been some things that have been contributed to your continued growth and then maintaining, because I feel like that's something that people don't talk about a lot. People can come in and be a one hit wonder,
Yeah.
and I don't usually bring those people to the show because I don't, even if it's at a low level, I like to have that consistency to show that. So
Yeah.
when you get to that level with the company changes, and I'm sure you didn't bring everybody over, right? You had to start all over again. So how do you get to this level and then maintain it and then keep growing? What are some of the things that have contributed to that?
Well, it's a lot of boring things that we all talk about. Consistency. I get up every day and I work my business. And
Mhm.
there's so many people that get in the business and they expect to have great success overnight. And when they don't, they stop working their business. And then they wonder why or they get in and they work really hard in the beginning and they see some great success. And then they take their foot off the gas. And they're like, oh, well, what happened to my business? Well, many people stop doing what they did to get there. And I'm sitting here, many years older and many years later with my foot still on the gas every single day, meeting with people, doing appointments, making sure my calendar is full, reaching out to people, introducing the product still to new people all the time. Like I'm leading from, I try and be a leader with it by example, because the leaders, I think that just get to a certain point and then just start, they're like, I'm so great and I'm just going to sit back and let my team do everything. Those are the teams that fall backwards instead of growth, because they're leader and they think that they could do the same thing. So I think that's it. I mean, it's a lot of discipline. It's a lot of consistency. It's a lot of self-motivation. I mean, to be a leader and an
Sure.
entrepreneur for your own business, you have to be self-motivated. I mean, there's nobody that gets me up in the morning except for me. And every day it's my own decision and choice how my day is going to look. Am I going to go mess around all day, go to the mall, whatever? I don't even go to the mall, but I mean, whatever it would be that could take you away from your business, you have to work it. And so that, I think, is what has helped, is that I've always just been kind of a workhorse, and I'm in the game. I'm in there for my team, and I'm trying to lead by example of showing up.
I love that. I really appreciate that. So, in the years you've been in the game, so you've built teams. You built a team way back when, and you're building a team way back now, right?
Yeah.
So, what has do you see a change? Like, do you see a difference in between how you approach to building a team, or how you approach people then, like the challenges then, or versus now? Do you see that? Is there a big difference? Is there challenges versus then and now? What have you seen?
Yeah, I think it's always changing. I think we have to definitely, stay relevant and stay fresh with the changes of the world. We've all gone through a crazy sort of roller coaster in the past 5 years. In how the world changed and shut down, and how we did business. And we used to do a lot more. When I first got in business, we did it all person to person, belly to belly, talking to a person in front of you. That's how I built my entire first business, is person to person.
So
And
the kids and the husband would stay home,
yeah,
right? You would get in the car, get ready, go to a meeting,
yeah.
and everybody would show up all the time, right?
Oh yeah, we had packed. Well, we had a lot of packed rooms. We packed a lot of rooms with people that were interested, and we would have I had 3 to 4 jewelry parties a week that I would get in my car and take the jewelry and lug it in and do all that. It was different in the beginning. We really did everything person to person. And I still believe in person to person, by the way. I still believe there's a lot of marketing to be done in person, because it's, they really can see your face and they know that you care. And, that's really important, that we still build like that. But, when the world shut down and we all went full internet, working through computers and Zoom parties and things like that, it was very different. And I think the biggest thing in leading our teams is we have to show them that change is always going to happen. We're never going to be at a time in this industry where change isn't happening. And if you're not morphing with it and not accepting the fact that we have to grow and change with the different changing times in the world, then you will be left behind. And so it's so important to be open to that, and some people, they just can't handle doing things different. I still think you can do things similar, but you're going to have to be open to,
like
different
Kodak story. It's
Yeah.
it's the Kodak story. They didn't want to move forward with technology, and nobody knows who they are.
Exactly.
I love that. It's so good. It's such a great and powerful point, and I love that. So I know this wasn't one of the questions, but I'm gonna throw it in.
Okay.
Based on what you just said, let's say, for example, you come across somebody at a Starbucks, and you crack a conversation, and they don't know who you are, and you find out that they are so anti, MLM. I love that smile. What's funny? I love the people I ask this question and from, because I can tell right away, by their body expression and their smile they get. It's like, oh, okay, you know.
Yeah.
But so how would you handle a person like that? And let's say you're gonna have a conversation, maybe 2 minutes, and they're never gonna see you again.
Yeah. Well, if they, for whatever reason, made that comment to me, I would say, well, what do you do? What's your business? And I would just ask them questions about themselves and why, and if it came up again, if they're like, I rarely honestly have people that say anything bad about it directly to my face,
And I love
but
that.
I
Yes.
think I would probably say, like, what happened to you? Like, what made you have that feeling about MLM? Like, it's been a blessing to my family for so many years. Like, we've changed the trajectory of, our lives because of this business. And, I might say that, but also, the minute you start trying to defend something, you sort of get on the wrong side. And so instead I would probably ask them more questions about themselves. And, and if anything, if it's a person that's worth spending time on, I would ask to follow their platforms, and they can follow mine, and just stay friends. And and who knows, one day they might decide they want to look younger and need some of my collagen. And if or one day they might decide that their whole life has changed and they can't work outside the home and they might need some money. And so it's like and if anything at all, maybe you could just be friends and you could learn from the situation. But I don't think going into defense mode is really the appropriate thing anymore, especially because a lot of people you won't change their mind, and you maybe don't want to change their mind. They might not be your
misconception, right? It's the misconception about the profession.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, you said I didn't want to leave the profession. I can't believe they didn't like it. If you didn't think that was a big question then or a big challenge way back then, why would you think it's a big challenge now, right?
Yeah.
But like, I gotta work. I just gotta work harder. I love that. In your book, you co-author a book,
Yes.
um, and it's I Decide. That's the name of the book.
Yes.
You advocate for living your best life. Yeah.
Yes.
Look at that smile. I love it. How have you applied some? I mean, I can see it, but how have you applied some of these principles from that book into your or own personal life that's translated into this kind of a success?
Well, my book partner and myself, my book partner's named Erin Lopez, and she and I have both been in this industry for a long time together, and we decided it'd be fun to have this passion project to write the book, I Decide. And we're doing a podcast too, Sean, called I Decide, Darling.
Okay.
And but here's our reasoning. Our reasoning was that what we have seen over all the years coaching and mentoring teams of many incredible, very talented, beautiful, kind, loving people, is that they pretty much self-sabotage themselves. And we know that it's our own decision every single day when we wake up on how that day's going to go, how your life will be that day, what you will eat, what you will drink, what you won't eat, what you won't drink. It's all decisions that we make, 1,000 little decisions all the time. But sometimes in our lives, we need to make one big decision to give yourself that turning point. And so for me, I've implemented these same practices throughout my life, and it's never a perfect science. I'm not saying, I mean, I'm still making new decisions each day, but as far as like my health or my fitness, I mean, I know that I'm the only one that can be in charge of that. And so if I want to feel a certain way, if I want to look a certain way, that it is only up to me and nobody else. It's up to me. The workouts that I do, I have to decide to do those. My finances are up to me. People love to blame and use excuses and all that stuff. And so our tools in this book and our practices help people realize kind of where they are and why they're there, because they've been making certain decisions, and maybe how to make a better decision and then execute on it, and how to make their next part of their life better, because they're finally making the decision they know that they should to make their life better.
And where would we be able to get this book?
It's on
Amazon?
Amazon.com and Barnes
Okay.
and Noble, and we
And
actually little brag moment. My book partner, we went to
let's go.
bestseller in 4 categories in the first 2 days, and that's because of all of our amazing friends and followers and people that bought it. It's a wonderful little gift to give someone. It's a short little read,
Okay.
but it's a beautiful book. It's a happy book. And what the thing that I didn't say that's really important is, in our book we feature people and their stories of success, making a
Oh
decision.
my goodness, I love it.
And that's what our podcast is we interview people and we ask them their story, like you do, Sean. We like to hear, what was that moment like when you made a decision that changed everything for you, and how put us in that spot with you. And so that's really our main purpose, is to share all the stories. And it's just, the I Decide book is just the beginning of a movement where we want to do more books, maybe an I Decide for teens and I Decide for marriages and things like that.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, we can tell more stories, and through those stories, we're hoping to impact people's lives and help them take some steps to better where they are and better themselves.
Stories are meant to be shared, not stored.
That's right.
Yes, I love that. I gotta get a hold of that book for sure. Then I did not know it's about stories. So with your experience with the book, with your experience on stage, with your experience as a start and now here, what is one thing that you constantly have to feed yourself and tell, like one advice that you would give your team and yourself? Because you did say that you'd lead with example, and I see it, and you're a true example of that. So what is one piece of advice that you would give others, and that something that you keep telling yourself, like.
I think one of the best things that I could ever share with people is something I've learned from my own long career. Okay. You can have great success in a shorter amount of time than what I've done, but and it started a long time ago, the successful parts of it, but I still feel like there's a long way to go. And so I look at it like if you can, if an entrepreneur can learn to not put a time stamp on their success, then they're going to be more successful. Because a lot of people get in and go, I'll give it 1 year. And I'm like, well, that won't work. Like, because you can't put a time on it, because everyone's abilities and influence and motivation, everything's different for every person. And so they're going to see success at different times. And so some people, it might take 10 years to earn, $1 million a year. It might take certain people 2 years. It might take some people 25 years. So you just can't put a timestamp on that. That's what I feel is like the best piece of advice. And just keep working and grinding and going with that like childlike belief that you're going to do it. And everything could break loose tomorrow, and where you're like, oh my gosh, it's all working, it's all coming together. But then if it doesn't, just keep going until it does.
I mean, that sounds like it's a wrap. That's a mic drop right there. I mean, that was so good. That was so good because I got goosebumps, and that was really good. I was gonna say, maybe Lee, say one last thing. If there's that one person who may see this replay months, weeks, maybe a year down the road, if you were to speak to that one person fresh off the boat, what would you want to tell that individual, that person, as a last words?
Well,
departing words, if you would.
We could take it back to something that like Dolly Parton would tell someone, and that is, don't wait for someone else to believe in you. Just start believing in yourself, because you could wait your whole life for someone else to believe in you, and you don't need that to have success. As long as you believe that you can do it, you're going to get there.
Lisa, I so appreciate you. I thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I can't thank you enough. We're going to go back and get back to the comments, but you are just wonderful, and you're just a mover and a shaker, and so humble. That's why I just love you so much, because you do so much and nobody knows anything. But you do so much. Like you're just amazing. So I really appreciate you, and I thank you so much.
Thank you.
For taking your time.
Wanted to be on here tonight. You're just a wonderful man, and keep telling people's stories. We all need to hear them. So thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you. And everybody, if you feel like this was worthy of sharing, come on now, don't be shy. Share away, tag and share on your profiles, and we'll get back to the questions and comments. And I am Sean Azimi with Side Gig Sean, signing off until tomorrow when we do it all over again. Thanks, Lisa. Bye, everyone.